Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my summary for the third book inside the Ponniyin Selvan series. I have my English as well as Tamil summaries for the first two books already out in the channel. I have linked all of those videos in the description, so please do check them out if you're interested. At the same time, if you've not watched those videos, I'd highly recommend you to watch them first and then watch this video, because if you've not watched both of those, you'll not be able to understand anything that I'm telling here. Now, there is one thing about this third book which I loved a lot, and it is that there are no new characters added in the third book apart from the characters whom we saw in the first two books. We just follow all those characters alone here, and it is far easier to follow and comprehend. There is another important thing, which is that all the first three books are equal in length, but the amount of things that happen in the first book are less, and the amount of things that happen in the second book are much more compared to the first book, and the things that have happened in the third book are so much more in quantity compared to everything that happened in the first two books put together. So without any further ado, let's get into the summary right away. Now, the second book ended with Pungurali saving Arulmozhivarman and Vandiyathevan, who were floating in the sea after they were caught in the storm, and Pungurali is now taking both of them in her boat towards Kodikarai. And the thing that is happening in Kodikarai is Periya Pazhuvettarayar and Nandini have come along with their army in order to search for Arulmozhivarman, because they've known about the storm that attacked both the ships, and they have this news that Arulmozhivarman has sunk in the sea and he is not available anymore. During the same time, what happens is Parthibendra Pallavar, from whose ship Arulmozhivarman jumped into the sea, comes to Kodikarai and he meets Periya Pazhuvettarayar and tells him everything that's happened. But Periya Pazhuvettarayar doubts Parthibendra Pallavar and he goes to check his ship. While his ship is being checked, Parthibendra Pallavar does not go along with Periya Pazhuvettarayar because he thinks that it might just increase the doubt if he is there along with his crew while the ship is being searched. So he stays in the shore, and in the shore along with them is Nandini, and Nandini starts to have a conversation with Parthibendra Pallavar. As a result of this, Parthibendra Pallavar sees Nandini, and being mesmerized by her beauty, he decides to support her and do anything that she wants. Now, the plan of Nandini is to separate the Chola kingdom into two parts and give one part each for Aditya Karikalan as well as Madurandagan in order to rule by them. The reason behind this plan is revealed by Nandini in the second half of the book. As of now, since Nandini has decided to give a part of the kingdom to be ruled by Aditya Karikalan, Parthibendra Pallavar accepts to Nandini's plan. At the same time, he has also been mesmerized by her beauty. So as of now, Parthibendra Pallavar has been taken over by Nandini to her side. While all these things are happening on the shore, Pungurali sees in the boat that there is some army on the shore, and she deduces that it might be the army of the Periya Pazhuvettarayars. At the same time, she sees two people on the lighthouse who are trying to see what is going on in the sea, and she also has this doubt that they might have seen her boat. So she tells Vandiyathevan and takes a very secretive route through a swamp land and leaves the boat in a safe space so that Vandiyathevan and Arulmozhivarman are not caught by any of the people from the troop, and she leaves to the Kuragar temple by the shore in order to get some food for both Vandiyathevan as well as Arulmozhivarman. She goes to the Kuragar temple and gets some milk as well as some prasadam from there and tries to get back to the boat. While she is making her way to the boat, she can see two people conversing inside a bush, and these two people inside the bush turn out to be Nandini and Ravidasan, who's the magician whom we saw in the first two books. The conversation that they are having is that Nandini gets to know that Pungurali might have planned to take Arulmozhivarman to the safe space where she hid Vandiyathevan for one night so that they can save him, and Nandini has gotten to know this secret because of Pungurali's sister-in-law, who's Rakamman. At the same time, Pungurali is able to see Sendan Amudan, who's her cousin, while she hears this conversation that is happening between Nandini and Ravidasan. After Nandini leaves, she does something and makes Ravidasan chase her, and while Ravidasan is chasing her, she tricks him and makes him fall into a bog. Sendan Amudan is along with Pungurali when she does this. Pungurali decides to let him sink in the bog, but Sendan Amudan is not able to bring himself up to leave a man to die. So he nudges Pungurali to save the man, but Pungurali is not very certain if she wants to save his life or not. So she takes the towel that Sendan Amudan has and ties it to a tree and gives the other end of the towel to Ravidasan and leaves him there so that he can escape if someone else comes and saves him. After this, Pungurali and Sendan Amudan leave to meet Arulmozhivarman and Vandiyathevan and tell Vandiyathevan what all has happened. During this time, what happens is Rakammal comes to Ravidasan's rescue and saves him out of the bog. After Pungurali and Sendan Amudan has said everything that's happened to Vandiyathevan, Vandiyathevan comes to this conclusion that Pungurali and Sendan Amudan should take Arulmozhivarman to Nagapattinam, where there is this Buddhist monastery where they can help Arulmozhivarman to relieve him of the fever that he has caught because of the reason that he was in Sri Lanka and also spent a whole night floating in the sea. At the same time, they also make Ravidasan believe that they have believed that Ravidasan has died, and when he exposes himself, Vandiyathevan acts as if he sees a ghost and runs away from there. During the same time, Pungurali and Sendan Amudan also manage escaping and taking Arulmozhivarman along with them to the Buddhist monastery in Nagapattinam. Sendan Amudan as well as Pungurali reach Nagapattinam and they let the Buddhist monks take care of Arulmozhivarman so that he can be saved from the fever. He is administered some medicines by the Buddhist monks. At the same time, Sendan Amudan and Pungurali are just around the same area in their boat so that they can take Arulmozhivarman when he is cured of the fever back to Kundavai and properly deliver him to her. During the same time, Vandiyathevan has left that place and he is heading towards Padayarai on a horse. He decides to stop at a goldsmith's place so that he can get some horseshoes made for the horse, and he sees the smith working on a huge sword which is very beautiful to look at, and there is this small symbol of a fish on the sword. When he asks the smith whom the sword belongs to, the smith says that if he does not ask him any questions, there is no need for him to lie. After hearing this, Vandiyathevan decides to leave it as such, and he stays there for some time so that the horseshoes can be made ready and then he can leave the place. Since it takes some time, he sleeps for a few hours, and during this time what happens is the Pazhuvettarayar's army passed through that place, and because of this the public gets to know that Arulmozhivarman has sunk in the ship and something has happened to him, and everyone of the public thinks that this is the fault of the Pazhuvettarayar because they are the people who decided to bring him as a prisoner from Sri Lanka to Tanjavur. Vandiyathevan, after waking up, gets to know all these things that have happened in Kodikkarai and the surrounding areas after the news of the probable demise of Arulmozhivarman has spread. He leaves the goldsmith's place and departs with his horse, but what happens in the way while he's traveling towards Parayarai is he's met with Devaralan, who is one of the people that is supporting the group which is behind Nandini, and a group of people tackle Vandiyathevan, tie his eyes and take him to a place, and when his eyes are unveiled, the person who's waiting for him there is Nandini. Nandini asks him for the ring that she gave him and tries to get him to her side by saying some sympathetic things about herself. Hearing this, Vandiyathevan feels some empathy for her. At the same time, there is some kind of undescribable fear that he feels. After having this conversation, Nandini just lets him go, and Vandiyathevan heads towards Parayarai again. When Vandiyathevan reaches Parayarai, he sees this procession that is being taken especially for Madurandagan himself and spots him. When he spots Madurandagan, he also tricks him by acting like a psychic and trying to enter the castle of Parayarai along with him. While he is trying to get into the castle along with Madurandagan, he is seen by all the people there, and there is this one person alone in the crowd who is the apothecary's son whom we saw in the second book that has been released by Nandini and used as a pawn by her so that he can capture Vandiyathevan and point to him as a spy while he gets to Parayarai. Now, because of some things that the apothecary's son has done, he is considered to be kind of a retarded person by the public there. So when he spots Vandiyathevan and says to them that he's a spy, no one is ready to believe him. At the same time, Vandiyathevan also says that he's a psychic and not a spy. When Vandiyathevan needs to be rescued, comes our beloved Azhvarkadiyan Nambi and tries to save Vandiyathevan. He hints him something and says that if you are a psychic, tell us the news that the two horsemen who are coming there are about to deliver here. And understanding what Nambi is telling him, Vandiyathevan tells them that the message to be delivered by the horsemen there is that one of the heirs to the throne has gone missing in the sea, and after the messengers deliver the message, it is confirmed. When the news is delivered, a commotion happens, and using that commotion as an opportunity, Nandi helps Vandiyathevan escape from the crowd and takes him to Kundavai. Kundavai is there on a boat by a lake, and when they meet, Vandiyathevan tells her everything that's happened and also tells her that Arulmozhivarman has been safely taken to the Buddhist monastery in Nagapattinam. After hearing this, Kundavai understands that Nandini might be her elder sister because she has heard the story that has said by Sundara Soran in the previous book, and she sends Vandiyathevan in order to meet Aditya Karikalan and stop him from meeting Nandini because she knows that if by any chance Aditya Karikalan meets Nandini, he will also probably end up siding with her. So Vandiyathevan leaves to Kanchipuram in order to meet Aditya Karikalan and stop him from meeting Nandini. During the same time, what happens is Aniruddha Brahmarayar from Sundara Solar's court comes with two messages to both the Periya Pirati as well as Kundavai, who's the Ilaya Pirati. He meets Periya Pirati and tells her that her son Madurandagan should be the next in line to the throne after Sundara Solar's death. But Periya Pirati refuses to take that because she has made this promise to her husband. Their son would not become the king of the Sora kingdom anytime. Because of the message, there is this commotion that is happening there, and by saying something they handle the crowd, and on hearing this, Vanati faints and falls into the same lake where Vandiyathevan and Kundavai have been discussing, and eventually they end up saving her. After Vanati is being saved, she takes the decision to go back to Kodumbalur and be in her own home for a few days, but Kundavai is not ready for this, yet she does not want to make Vanati do anything that she does not want to do, and she lets her go. Vanati heads towards Nagapattinam in order to go to the Buddhist monastery and become a monk herself, and after this, Aniruddha Brahmarayar comes and meets Kundavai and tells her that it is her fault that has resulted in all this commotion in the kingdom, because if her message of asking Arulmozhivarman to come back to Parayarai was not delivered by Vandiyathevan, he might have not sunk in the sea and all this commotion might not have happened. After hearing this, Kundavai gets agitated. At the same time, she understands also. So after all this happens, she decides to go to this nearby place called Anaimangalam and she leaves on an elephant. Now Vandiyathevan has headed towards Kanchipuram in order to meet Aditya Karikalan, right? On his way, what happens is one night there is a heavy downpour, and because of this he stays at a nearby cave during a night, and he sees this small child inside the cave, and the child is wearing a lot of ornaments and does not look like a normal child. It seems like a child from a very royal family. And when he asks the child why he is there, the child ends up saying that he wanted a horse and he was only carried in a palanquin by the people, hence he ran away in search of a horse. When there's this conversation that is happening between Vandiyathevan and the child, there's a group of people who come and try to take the child away from him, because that is the group of people to whom the child belongs, and those people treat the child like their ruler, and this group of people who come to take the child are actually the group that are supporting Nandini, and Vandiyathevan is able to see Ravidasan as well as Devaralan in that group. So Vandiyathevan is taken along by them and he's tied up to a tree, and there is this huge meeting that happens with a smoldering fire at a small distance away from Vandiyathevan, and the child has been made to sit on a throne and all the people are treating him like a king. To this meeting comes a woman who is very aggressive in her dressing, and that woman turns out to be none other than a Nandini, and Nandini is having that sword which we saw her having in the beginning. She keeps that sword in front of the people and tells them that their plan is going as per schedule, and if everything happens properly they will have won their goal by the end of next week. And she tells the child that he has to take the sword and give it to any one of the people there, and that person will end up killing their enemy with their own hands. The child ends up giving the sword to Nandini itself, and when others try to protest against it, Nandini says that that is the decision that was taken by the child and she must be the one who ends up killing their enemy. And during that same time she also reveals her plan, saying that she has decided to divide the Sora kingdom into two parts, one to be ruled by Aditya Karikalan and the other to be ruled by Madurandagan. And when both of them start to quarrel amongst each other and fight, the Sora kingdom will come down to an end by itself. After everything is over, Ravidasan takes Nandini to Vandiyathevan and shows him to her. He asks whether Vandiyathevan should be executed there itself, but Nandini says that he must not be executed and he has a lot more plans for him and spares his life then and there. So Vandiyathevan again heads towards Kanchipuram from there. Now we saw that Arulmozhivarman has been nursed by the monks in the Buddhist monastery in Nagapattinam. He's had a very high temperature for the past 3 days and he's been sleeping the whole time. After 3 days he opens his eyes and gets back to his normal state, and after this only he gets to know that Poongozhi and Sendanamudan are the people who came and admitted him there and all the other things that have happened behind. So since he's feeling better right now, he decides to get away from there and bring himself to the king in Tanjavur. But the monk says to Arulmozhivarman that there are two women waiting for him in Anaimangalam and he should go and meet them there. And so Arulmozhivarman leaves the Buddhist monastery in Nagapattinam along with Poongozhi and Sendanamudan in their boat. We saw that Vanati has headed towards Nagapattinam also, right? But what happens in between is she's intruded by Aniruddha Brahmarayar and he convinces her of knowing the location of Arulmozhivarman and asks her to reveal him. But she decides not to do it and he threatens her by saying that she'll be thrown away by the elephant that was standing nearby to her death. Vanati decides not to give away for anything and she just stands there with all the guts that she can muster. The elephant comes, lifts her with its trunk and lifts her up, and when she goes up she just faints and thinks that she has died after she's been thrown by the elephant. The author also tells us at this point that this is the last time we'll be seeing Vanati fainting in the entire series. After fainting, Vanati thinks that she has died, and when she opens her eyes, she gets to see Kundavai on whose lap her head is resting. After she wakes up, she gets to know that she was not actually thrown by the elephant, but Aniruddha Brahmarayar just tricked her and made her go along with Kundavai. And when she asks Kundavai where they are going, Kundavai tells her that they are going towards Anaimangalam so that she can also go to the Buddhist monastery afterwards if she ever wants to. They head towards Anaimangalam and finally Kundavai meets Arulmozhivarman and they have this huge discussion. Kundavai tells about all the stories that she had heard from Sundara Sorar about his other family, and Arulmozhivarman also tells her about the women who saved his life as a child, saving his life multiple times in Sri Lanka also. They come to this conclusion that the other woman who cannot speak as well as hear is the first person whom their father had kids with, and because of this Nandini turns out to be their elder sister, but they are not able to understand why Nandini was separated from them and grew up without any parents at a different home. At the same time, they are also able to understand that there are three people who can give the answers for all these questions, and those three people are Sundara Sorar, who's their father, Aniruddha Brahmarayar, who's the minister, and finally our beloved Nambi himself. When Kundavai and Arulmozhivarman are talking with each other in order to provide them with some privacy, Vanati goes near the lake and she's just wandering around there. During this time, a bull comes and attacks her, and the reason behind this is that Poongozhi and Sendanamudan have been waiting after dropping Arulmozhivarman at that place, and Poongozhi does not like Kundavai as well as Vanati because Poongozhi has this huge respect and love for Arulmozhivarman. At the same time, the other person who loves Arulmozhivarman is Vanati and she is supported by Kundavai. So in all this anger, she just flicks a stone at the bull, and that bull is the one which ends up attacking Vanati. And Vanati screams from this attack and she tries to run away. While she is trying to run away, she slips and falls into the water. On hearing her scream, Arulmozhivarman goes to her rescue, and both Kundavai as well as Arulmozhivarman thought that she has fainted again and fallen inside the river. And when Arulmozhivarman finally lifts her up out of the water, Vanati starts laughing, and when Arulmozhivarman asks her the reason why she is laughing, she tells him that he ended up being saved by two women two different times while he fell into the Kaveri river as well as inside the sea, and finally he has ended up saving a woman from the water for a change, and she is the reason behind that change, and starts laughing again. On hearing this, Arulmozhivarman also starts laughing, and on seeing both of them, Kundavai also starts laughing. Hearing the laughter from these three people, Sendanamudan as well as Poongozhi also start laughing. With their laughter, there is this beautiful ambience that is provided by nature itself, and with that we come to the end of the third book inside the Ponniyin Selvan series. So yes guys, that's it for my summary of the third book inside the Ponniyin Selvan series. If you did find this video useful in some way or the other, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.